That's Mama Shayla. Great rising, great rising. What's up? We are live in both places now. What's this? Levine. Blessings. YouTube, rise and shine, for your light has come. Alright, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. Look, when I be calling out things, I be thinking about what we're learning. Technically, it would be the third day. The Sabbath was this past Monday for this moon cycle, which was the seventh day. It would be 1, 2, 3. The third day of this week. I know that people got to wrap their mind around, well, it's Thursday, but y'all get what I'm saying. Everybody's returning to the true Sabbath. It might take me a while to get that numbers under control. I got to look at it every time. All right, beautiful people. I don't know what, some people just don't have any kind of sense of humor whatsoever. I'll probably just play too much. You gotta have a sense of humor though. Laughter is like a medicine. Shalom, Auntie Melinda Brown. Shalom, shalom. Some people so serious. Boy, it's like them old church mothers can't laugh at nothing. I'm gonna leave people alone today. I'm just saying, y'all. Some people need to lighten up. They really do. Yahuwah has a sense of humor. We see it all. We see it all through the scriptures. Okay, 35. All right, beautiful people. A happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. It is May the 6th, 2021, day 146 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 815. Shalom, shalom, Mom. And remember, that count, the 815-day count, is the days we have been here every morning, standing our post. Trina, that's trouble. Hey, girl, hey. Standing our post, reading the words of truth. What is truth? Oh, yeah, your Torah, your instructions are truth, right? Truth brings light. It brings stability. It brings foundation, right? It awakens you. Rise and shine, beautiful people, for your light has come. All right, y'all. So today we are reading 1 Chronicles 20, 21, and 22 from the scriptures. And after we read that, we're going to hop on over to Fossilized Customs and pick back up at page 35. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And for all y'all that have y'all books, listen. If y'all, I know some people just, they have the books and they listen along, but my mom bought something out something else to my attention yesterday while we were reading, and I want you all to check your Bibles. Remember, y'all heard me say a couple times, I'm waiting for him to do a updated edition, right? This is a 12th edition we're reading from, right? But there's still one particular thing impossible, the whole human sacrifice. I'm like, he talks about it, but for some reason he hasn't connected it just yet, right? So what my mom found out yesterday, apparently her book is the same book, right? But on page 30, right? Matter of fact, when I actually bought it out again, in her book, the portion where I said, I'm gonna just go ahead and read this, her book doesn't have it, right? They completely removed this whole portion right here where it says, if Constantine had not done this, you would have never heard your pastor utter the word Easter, and you would be observing Passover each year in its proper time. Yahushua's Nazarene don't observe Easter tide. He's not the Easter lamb. He's the Passover lamb. Her book completely removed that, right? Because what do we learn? Yahuwah said human sacrifice is an abominable thing, and he would not go and commit the same things that he told us to stay away from, right? He said the righteous cannot die for the wicked. The wicked don't die for their own sins if they don't turn away from their wickedness and begin to walk in righteousness, right? Yahuwah constantly says that all the way through. But apparently, her book is a little more updated. So I need y'all to be paying attention. If y'all are actually following along, or even if you come back later and read it and you find out that certain things have been omitted from your version, make a note of it and share it in the chat box or send me an email. The email is found in the About section. Let a sister know, because I'm marking it up, so I'm not sure if they're going to go ahead and print a 13th version. I still haven't gotten a call back from them. I know people are busy, so I ain't tripping. But I'm keeping my eyes open to see. I'm like, okay, because if they get an updated version where they got that part right and they updated themselves, I want to get the most updated version, right? And I'm going to let y'all know about it. Or y'all let a sister know if y'all find out before I do, right? Each one teach one. Okay, so, but I thought that was really interesting. Although it left some of the other things in there, that particular thing about the whole Easter lamb and Passover lamb, they completely removed. Because why? We found out it is not true, right? Right. That's pagan worship. No matter if you call it the Easter lamb or the Passover lamb, we learn about why they slaughtered the lamb before they came out of Egypt, because the Egyptians worship lambs as gods, and Yahuwah, being as savage as he is for us, he said, this is what I want y'all to do. I want you to take their gods. Everybody get a lamb. And I want you to slaughter the lamb. And not only slaughter the lamb, but I want you to take their God's blood and smear it all on your doorpost, like flaunt it in front of their face. This is what I think of your lamb. And everybody that don't follow my lead, y'all gonna die with their firstborn too, right? Everybody was like, yep, get us a lamb. You give me one of your gods. Like the Egyptians worship lambs as gods, people, the lamb god. For some reason, that's completely missed when we read through the scriptures, right? It's to remind them that they are no gods at all. Yahuwah is the mighty one. So y'all get so excited about truth. And I'm just like, why don't we see this when we read through it? Because they put you to sleep. Then they tell you what's there. And most people just don't go back and look, right? I'm just like, Father, forgive us for our own ignorance, and forgive us for not doing our own due diligence and going back and looking at this. Now, I know some people might take issue with that, but if you read your Bible, that's what it says. That's what it says. That's the proper interpretation of it, people. And Yahuwah says sacrifice. He said, I do not desire sacrifice. I simply want you to be obedient. Simply be obedient. Okay. I know I started a little bit early. Let's go ahead and do the Shema, which is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. We start in at verse 3, but remember, read the entire chapter in context. As a matter of fact, read the entire book of Deuteronomy, right? Keep it all in full context of everything. Don't cherry pick scriptures to try and prove a unfounded point on an improper teaching that you were taught. Here, O Israel, observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, pay attention, everybody. Can I get everybody's attention? Stop, listen. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God. He's not multiple gods. He's not a trinity. He's not a duality. He has not left his throne and reincarnated himself and made himself a son. That's what the New Testament teaches you. This is what we're reading. We're uncovering all of these farces, these lies, right? He is one God. He is not man that he should lie, right? Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God. He's a God. In Hebrew, it's one. One. Perfect unity. One. And you shall love Yahuwah, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And nobody else is supposed to be in your, you ain't supposed to ask nobody to come into your heart. These words, the words of truth, Yahuwah's words. And you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. On your hand as a sign represents action. They shall be as frontlets between your eyes, because your thoughts, what you think about, you do, you carry out, and you teach your entire household. They observe you, you model to them Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our God, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. Like we're alive today, we're talking flesh and blood, we're alive today. He'll keep us this way if we keep his commands. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as he has commanded us. Okay, beautiful people. So let's hop on over to our reading today. We are starting in 1 Chronicles, chapter 20. Let me take a sip of my water. Well, actually, it's tea watered down with all the ice I put in it. Okay. 1 Chronicles, chapter 20. In the spring of the year, when kings normally go out to war, Joab led the Israelite army in successful attacks against the land of the Ammonites. In the process, he laid siege to the city of Rabbah, attacking and destroying it. However, David stayed behind in Jerusalem. Then David went to Rabbah and removed the crown from the king's head, and it was placed on his head. The crown was made of gold and set with gems, and he found that it weighed 75 pounds. David took a vast amount of plunder from the city. He also made slaves of the people of Rabbah and forced them to labor with saws, iron picks, and iron axes. That is how David dealt with the people of all the Ammonite towns. Oh, I'm glad I saw Ammonite. I'm not Ammonite, but it's the Moabite that I need to bring correction to. Yesterday when we were talking, and I didn't catch my mistake until after I went and watched the video over again. When we were talking about the Moabites yesterday, when David was dealing with the Moabites, I said that Esther was a Moabite. When I listened to myself say it yesterday while watching the replay of the video, I'm like, Esther wasn't a Moabite. Why did I say that? Esther was Hebrew. What I was referring to, remember I said Yahuwah told them not to destroy the Moabites because down the line there was a treasure. It wasn't Esther. I was mixing two stories. Forgive me, y'all. Some of y'all may have caught it, but y'all didn't say anything to me. If y'all catch me doing that, please say something like, sis, what you mean? What you just say? Help me catch my mistake, y'all, if y'all get it. Something don't seem right. Because a lot of times I may be talking too fast and I didn't catch what I said. Not a lot of times, so I'll go back and watch it again. But Esther was not a Moabite, y'all. Forgive me for my blunder. Esther was a Hebrew. What I was referring to, who I was referring to was Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite. Remember the story about Naomi and Ruth? Ruth was the Moabite that Yahuwah was talking about. He said, don't destroy the Moabites. I have a treasure down the line. And we also know that Ruth was who? Ruth was King David's great-grandmother. Remember the story? Ruth met Boaz. Boaz was a Hebrew. Ruth was a Moabite. They gave birth to Obed, right? Obed was their son. Obed was the father of Jesse, who was King David's father, right? So if they had have destroyed all of the Moabites, King David would not be here. He said, don't destroy them. There's a woman down there, although he didn't name, he said, there's a woman down there who I am going to bring the seed King David from, right? But remember, the lineage follows after the father, right? So David, in fact, was Hebrew, right? He's an Israelite from the kingdom of Judah, right? Down through that line. But they married. He married Ruth, who was righteous, and she became, although her nationality was a Moabite, when she married into the family, mixed blood with the Hebrew, now your child, your sons and your daughters, they now, although they carry the blood of both, if you continue to marry within the Hebrew group of people, it will wash that out, and thereby a couple generations later, King David was born, right? Okay, so that's what I meant yesterday about not destroying the Moabites, because Ruth was there. Ruth married Obed. Ruth married Boaz. They gave birth to Obed. He was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David, whom we know is King David, who we're reading about now. But Esther did, in fact, fix King Saul's mistake. I mentioned that yesterday, too. She was the woman that Yahuwah used to fix King Saul's mistake by him not wiping out everybody. Men, women, and children, cattle, donkeys, everything. He said kill everybody, but he decided to save the best of the flock and keep King Ahab, right? When he kept King Ahab during that time before Samuel got to him, King Ahab had sex with a woman, thereby creating a posterity that allowed Haman to live, which wanted to annihilate all the Hebrews. He was coming for his daddy's records, right? He was seeking vengeance, and he was pissed with Mordecai. So those are the two stories that I mixed by mistake, not realizing that I had done it until I watched it and I heard myself. And I'm like, wait, what did I say? Nobody said anything to me. So I wanted to fix that. When I read Ammonite, it triggered from yesterday, but I actually did. I made a comment. I pinned it in my comment and in the description box that I made that mistake, just in case somebody, oh, see, she's teaching heresy. No, it was a mistake, and I fixed it. I know you can fix it in the video by doing a little pop up, and I'm gonna see if I can do that, because I think it's not a big mistake. I caught it, but it can be a big mistake and can throw some people off if they're not paying attention, if they don't go read my description box to see that, hey, look, I made a mistake here, this. So I just wanted to say that, just in case y'all caught it but didn't say anything to me. Okay, let's go back to the reading. He also made slaves of the people of Rabbah and forced them to labor with saws, iron picks, and iron axes. That is how David dealt with the people of all the Ammonite towns. Then David and all the army returned to Jerusalem. After this, war broke out with the Philistines at Gezer. As they fought, Sibbecai from Husha killed Saph, a descendant of the giants, and so the Philistines were subdued. During another battle with the Philistines, Elhanan, son of Jair, killed Lami, the brother of Goliath of Gath. The handle of Lami's spear was as thick as a weaver's beam. In another battle with the Philistines at Gath, they encountered a huge man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. How they know? Because they were giants. They ain't had no shoes big enough for their big feet, so they saw all 6 of them toes on both his feet. In another battle with the Philistines at Gath, they encountered a huge man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all, who was also a descendant of the giants. But when he defied and taunted Israel, he was killed by Jonathan, the son of David's brother Shimea. These Philistines were descendants of Gath, but David and his warriors killed them. All right, y'all, second chapter for today, 1 Chronicles chapter 21. And we're reading from the New Living Translation, y'all. I know some people take issue with, oh, you can only read from the KJV. But if you understand, like I said, how to just look back and make sure you get the proper meaning of stuff, and it's made really easy now with electronic Bibles, you can make sure you're getting the proper interpretation. I like to use this because speaking in English, it's a modern day tongue, and a lot of people that's coming, I know how it was when I started. Although I grew up reading the KJV, that's what my mom gave me. I will always feel, I'm like, Father, I don't understand this. This is like thus. I called it the Thus Thou Arts Bible, and I couldn't understand it. And although I would read it, I didn't really understand it until I got into the military, right? And for some reason, it just clicked and I could understand it. It's weird how it happened. But then I also started looking at the other Bibles. I'm like, oh, so what I was understanding is correct the way. It's just different translations. They make it more modern day term vernacular, like we talking like this or whatever. It makes it easier to understand, but you also have to be careful because sometimes in the process of making it easier for people to understand, sometimes the meaning is lost in translation. So that's why I said you have to be careful, but as long as you know how to go back to the original and go back to find the etymology of certain words to make sure you have the proper interpretation, you'll be okay, right? And whatever level you're on, if you can only understand the Message version, Yahuwah will talk to you through the Message version of the Bible. He really will. Don't put him in a box, right? Don't box him in. And too many people box y'all in. Yahuwah is the great one, right? And he can talk to you on your level, and he doesn't just talk to us that speak English, right? If he can speak to everybody else in every other language that they understand, he will come down to your level so you can understand him on a more intimate level, right? And everybody will know the same Yah. He'll speak to you just like you speak to your children, and in a way that they understand you. You don't give them a bunch of medical terms and all that stuff. You don't do that. That's just using good common sense. Yahuwah treats us the same way. He'll say, if you need to be talked to like a child, not that he's being condescending, but y'all get what I'm saying. I talk to my children a little differently, and babies. Talk to them a little bit differently than I do children who are older and adults. Y'all get it, right? Yahuwah is the same way. He shows the same kindness. 1 Chronicles chapter 21. Satan rose up against Israel and caused David to take a census of the people of Israel. So David said to Joab and the commanders of the army, take a census of all the people of Israel, from Beersheba in the south to Dan in the north, and bring me a report so I may know how many are there. But Joab replied, may Yahuwah increase the number of his people 100 times over. But why, my lord the king, do you want to do this? Are they not all your servants? Why must you cause Israel to sin? Right? Everybody knew you ain't supposed to count us. Yahuwah said we're going to be more than the sand on the seashore. Don't do this, King David. Even Joab knew this. Why you want to do this? You're going to cause all of us to sin. But the king insisted that they take the census, so Joab traveled throughout all of Israel to count the people. Then he returned to Jerusalem and reported the number of people to David. There were 1.1 million warriors in all of Israel who could handle a sword, and 470,000 in Judah. But Joab did not include the tribes of Levi and Benjamin in the census because he was so distressed at what the king had made him do. Yahuwah was very displeased with the census, and he punished Israel for it. Then David said to Yahuwah, I have sinned greatly by taking this census. Please forgive my guilt for doing this foolish thing. Even though Joab tried to stop him, right? He could have stopped, like, Joab, you right. I almost lost it for a second, but he said, no, Joab, go do what I told you to do, right? Remember, the kings can lead the entire nation into sin. That's why Yahuwah deals with them like that. Nope, you can cause the entire nation to sin. Stop it, right? Then Yahuwah spoke to Gad, David's seer. This was the message. Go and say to David, this is what Yahuwah says. I will give you 3 choices. Choose one of these punishments, and I will afflict it on you. That's what it is. Go get me something to whoop you with. Go pick your own switch. So Gad came to David and said, these are the 3 choices Yahuwah has given you. You may choose 3 years of famine, 3 months of destruction by the sword of your enemies, or 3 days of severe plague as the angel of Yahuwah brings devastation throughout the land of Israel. Decide what answer I should give to Yahuwah who sent me. I am in a desperate situation, David replied to Gad, but let me fall into the hands of Yahuwah, for his mercy is very great. Do not let me fall into human hands, for I tell you, because humans have no remorse. They take no mercy. They don't even have a good sense of humor. They ready to condemn you to hell at every turn. So Yahuwah sent a plague upon Israel, and 70,000 people died as a result. And Yahuwah sent an angel to destroy Jerusalem. But just as the angel was preparing to destroy it, Yahuwah relented and said to the death angel, "Stop, that is enough." At that moment, the angel of Yahuwah was standing by the threshing floor at Aruna, the Jebusite. He was standing by the threshing floor of Aruna, the Jebusite. David looked up and saw the angel of Yahuwah standing between heaven and earth with his sword drawn, reaching out over Jerusalem. So David and the leaders of Israel put on burlap to show their deep distress and fell face down on the ground. And David said to Yahuwah, "I am the one who called for the census. I am the one who has sinned and done wrong. But these people are as innocent as sheep. What have they done? Oh, Yah, my God, let your anger fall against me and my family, but do not destroy your people." Then the angel of Yahuwah told Gad to instruct David to go up and build an altar to Yahuwah on the threshing floor of Aruna the Jebusite. So David went up to do what Yahuwah had commanded him through Gad. Aruna, who was busy threshing wheat at the time, he turned and saw the angel there. His 4 sons who were with him ran away and hid. When Aruna saw David approaching, he left his threshing floor and bowed before David with his face to the ground. David said to Aruna, "Let me buy this threshing floor from you at its full price. Then I will build an altar to Yahuwah there so that he will stop the plague." "Take it, my lord the king, and use it as you wish," Aruna said to David. "I will give the oxen for the burnt offerings and the threshing boards for wood to build the fire on the altar, and the wheat for the grain offering. I will give it all to you." But King David replied to Aruna, "No, I insist on buying it for its full price. I will not take what is yours and give it to Yahuwah. I will not present burnt offerings that have cost me nothing." So David gave Aruna 600 pieces of gold in payment for the threshing floor. And so remember when we talked about when we was going through Leviticus, right? And Yahuwah was going through the different types of offerings and everything, right? And a lot of people misunderstand it. They think what they were sacrificing was a blood atonement. And although you can look at it in that way, that's not the message Yahuwah was trying to get over to his people. Remember, their flocks and their herd was their livelihood, their source of money, income, so to speak, right? That their source of travel, how they move things about. Some of them sold the milk that the different ones produce, all those different things, right? And what King David said, he said, "I will not present burnt offerings that have cost me nothing." Yahuwah said, okay, when you sin, you need to know that it doesn't just affect you. It affects your entire household and those who depend on you to do what's right. He said, so I want you to go take the thing that brings money into your household, that helps you to support your family. You need to fill it in your pockets. Don't bring me something that you couldn't sell to your governor. He said, bring me the best of your flock. Bring me the best of your sheep, because you need to fill it in your pockets, right? Daddy, what you doing? What are you doing? You taking our prize bull, our prize lamb? Oh, wait, what are you doing? This is going to take money out of our... You need to fill it. Matter of fact, you bring the food for everybody. We need to have a meeting, son. You saying, come on, let's have a Yah. Let's have a come to Yah moment, right? But I want you supplying the food for everybody. We're going to sit here and talk about what you did, right? Get the best. I want the best. Get the fatted one. Bring it here, right? Take money out your own household, out your own pocket. I will not present. And King David understood this. That's why the Aruna said, I'll just give it to you, King. Just do what you need to do to stop this play. I'm going to give everything to you. He said, no, I'm not going to take from you and give it, right? Yahuwah didn't say, go take when you need to come repent of your sin. He didn't say, go take your neighbor's stuff and bring it to him. That doesn't belong to you. How is that going to affect you? How is that going to make you think about what you do, right? Before you sin, you should think about what you stand to lose before you go commit this sin, right? I'm there. Okay, I'm gonna lose the best thing we got, the thing that's helped me support my family. I'm gonna have to present this if I get caught. Like, you can't hide it. Yahuwah catches you at any given time because he can read your thoughts, right? So Yahuwah did this so you could think ahead of time. He constantly told me, he said, listen, y'all not getting it. I don't require sacrifice. I simply want you to keep the instructions. I gave you these rules to sacrifice in hopes that you would think about what you do before you go out here and do it. But y'all just, y'all just gonna kill all the flock. I'm sick of the blood of flocks and bees. I don't want it. I want obedience from you, right? But that's taught in a whole different way. And now people, they don't pull their Jedi mind trick on you. And now you're thinking that the blood sacrifice and atonement is needed for your sins, when Yahuwah said, no, stop killing the bulls and sheep and goats, right? I simply want you to obey. I simply want your obedience. I'm trying to keep my promise to my friend Abraham. Would y'all just do what's right? I gave you the instructions. And look at the list if you forget. I would simply want you to do what's right. I'm trying to keep my promise to my friend Abraham, okay? But y'all making this real hard on me. Like, this is what Yahuwah was constantly saying to us. And when it's not taught the right way, you get into all this religious mumbo jumbo. And people like to get all of this. All y'all is crazy, right? Because the wrong people are teaching it to you, right? King David said, I would not present that. You giving that, it ain't cost me nothing, right? I want to give you full price. So now it comes into my possession. I can take ownership of it, right? Now I'm responsible. This is my stuff. I'm not presenting Aruna's stuff to y'all. I'm presenting my stuff now. I paid money for this. This is now mine. I bought the best from you at top dollar. I ain't going to Jew you down on your price. I'm going to pay full price for the best. You want top dollar? I'm going to pay you top dollar. So now I'm going to take what I paid top dollar for, which is in my possession, some of the best, and now I'm going to take it and give it to y'all because I've caused this entire sin to come on Israel. Now I need to have a come to y'all moment, and I need to take the best of everything that I got and bring it before him, right? It's going to hurt my pockets. It needs to hurt deep down inside to get your attention and break your stakes. Think about this, people. Think about what you're doing. But King David replied to Aruna, no, I insist on buying it for the full price. I will not take what is yours and give it to Yah. I will not present burnt offerings that have cost me nothing. So David gave Aruna 600 pieces of gold in payment for the threshing floor. David built an altar there to Yahuwah and sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. And when David prayed, Yahuwah answered him by sending fire from heaven to burn up the offering on the altar. Then Yahuwah spoke to the angel who put the sword back into its sheath. When David saw that Yahuwah had answered his prayer, he offered sacrifices there at Aruna's threshing floor. At that time, the tabernacle of Yahuwah and the altar of burnt offering that Moses had made in the wilderness were located at the place of worship in Gibeon. But David was not able to go there to inquire of Yahuwah because he was terrified by the drawn sword of the angel of Yahuwah. Last chapter for the day out of the book of truth, the books of the law and the prophets, the Tula or the Torah or the book of instruction. 1 Chronicles chapter 22. Then David said, this will be the location for the temple of Yahuwah and the place of the altar for Israel's burnt offerings. So David gave orders. Oh, something else I wanted to mention when I was just saying it in the last chapter. A lot of people don't realize when you're looking at the Jewish people or the European converts from Europe that are over taking up residence in the land that they have labeled Israel and Jerusalem, you will notice them, and a lot of them will, if you don't understand who the true people are, you're just off on the prophecies, right? So what they're doing when they see them rebuilding a temple and trying to reinstitute temple sacrifices, they are wrong. I know they're using the book of Ezekiel. There's an older set. That is not what Yahuwah meant, because if you keep on reading, Yahuwah said that there will not be any hurting. Ain't nobody gonna be slaughtering no animals on my holy mountain, right? You're not gonna be slaughtering any bulls, sheep, goats, although they're getting this and they're looking for the red heifer. I'm just like, they ain't reading it. And people not reading. They pushing garbage to them. Yahuwah said there will be no more animal sacrifices, right? And I know a lot of people like to tie that in, because JC was the ultimate sacrifice. No, you're all wrong. Pay attention. Yahuwah is going to restore it based on what he said his new covenant would be. And it's not that JC died on the cross for your sins. That is not what Yahuwah said the new covenant would be. If we go back and we read the words of Yah, he said this is the new covenant. He said, that I'm trying to keep my promise to my friend Abraham, right? He said, okay. So I gave your ancestors these instructions, and I gave it to Moses, and I inscribed it on both sides of these tablets that he brought down to you, right? He said, these same laws that I wrote on these 2 stone tablets on both sides, these same exact laws, he said, they're not going to be done away with. He said, but I gave these laws to your ancestors on tablets, right? He said, so they could read them and take them inside of this. So he said, this time, this is the only thing that I'm changing, people. Pay attention. Listen up. Hear, O Israel. Shema, Shema, Shema. Listen. This is the only thing I'm changing about what I said about my covenant. He said, this time, that same exact covenant I'm going to give to you. And he said, but this time I'm not going to inscribe it on tablets. I'm going to inscribe it on your hearts. He said, I'm going to put it inside of you. It's going to be inside of you. He said, and you're going to love it. And you're going to love me. And you're going to be my people. And I'm going to be your God. He said, you all will be obedient to my instructions, to my Torah, to my law. You all will be obedient from the inside out and not just outwardly looking like you are. That's what it is. As simple as that, right? That's why we must read Yahuwah's instructions first before people try to bring you into the faith and inundate you with the New Testament first, because you have nothing to vet this New Testament information against. How you go reading this when you haven't read the words of the Creator first? When you start reading the scriptures, don't you ever start in the New Testament. Do not ever start there. You must start with the words of Yah. When you don't start with the words of Yah, you're all discombobulated pretty much for the rest of your life until you wake up to truth and realize, oh, wait a minute, these is words of Paul, JC, everybody, but okay, how do we know that that's lining up? I know they told us, oh, this fulfills this, but let's go actually see what Yahuwah said that would fulfill. If you don't go back and read the words of Yah first, they get you all off. And you misunderstand what they're saying, and you just off, right? And you're fighting for what you perceive to be the truth when you are really the one in error, right? Yahuwah first. He's always the authority. So David gave orders to call together the foreigners living in Israel, and he assigned them to the task of preparing finished stone for building the temple of Yahuwah. David provided large amounts of iron for the nails that would be needed for the doors and the gates and for the clamps, and he gave more bronze than could be weighed. He also provided innumerable cedar logs for the men of Tyre and Sidon. For the men of Tyre and Sidon had brought vast amounts of cedar to David. David said, my son Solomon is still young and inexperienced, and since the temple to be built for Yahuwah must be a magnificent structure, famous and glorious throughout the world, I will begin making preparations for it now. Oh, what a good father, right? He knew everything that his son in many years to come he would need. So King David, after Yahuwah told him, he said, David, bro, you're not going to build it. Your son going to build it. He said, well, okay, that's just as good. That's okay. We'll all still get the credit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start preparing up now, make his job easier, right? Bless other parents who begin preparing for their children, their children's children, right? David said, my son Solomon is still young and inexperienced, and since the temple to be built for Yahuwah must be a magnificent structure, famous and glorious throughout the world, I will begin making preparations for it now. So David collected vast amounts of building materials before his death. Then David sent for his son Solomon and instructed him to build a temple for Yahuwah, the God of Israel. My son, I wanted to build a temple to honor the name of Yahuwah my God, David told him. But Yahuwah said to me, you have killed many men in battles and you have fought. And since you have shed so much blood in my sight, you will not be the one to build a temple to honor my name. But you will have a son who will be a man of peace. I will give him peace with his enemies in all the surrounding lands. His name will be Solomon, and I will give peace and quiet to Israel during his reign. He is the one who will build a temple to honor my name. He will be my son, and I will be his father, and I will secure the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. So we know that David was a man of war. So David would not have had the time anyway, based on what Yahuwah just said. If you read between the lines, David was a man of war. As long as David was alive, he was always fighting battles, right? So he would not have had a time to pull some of the men apart to help use their skill to actually build the temple, right? They would have always had somebody posted while they're trying to build. They would have to pull men from this site to go fight. We can't do this, right? And Yahuwah said, I'm going to give King Solomon peace. Nobody's going to come up against him, so everybody can be focused on this thing, and they can build the temple in peace. I'm going to give him peace with all his enemies round about, and he will be the one to be able to build it. His name will be Solomon, and I will give peace and quiet to Israel during his reign. He is the one who will build a temple to honor my name. He will be my son, and I will be his father, and I will secure the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. Now, my son, may Yahuwah be with you and give you success as you follow his directions in building the temple of Yahuwah your God. And may Yahuwah give you wisdom and understanding, that you may obey the law of Yahuwah your God as you rule over Israel. For you will be successful if you carefully obey the decrees and regulations that Yahuwah gave to Israel through Moses, right? They call it, some people like that, oh, we don't follow the Torah of Moses. But what do we find out Yahuwah said to Moses? He said, Moses, I'm going to give this honor to you, and I'm going to let my law be named after you. And people are going to call it the Torah of Moses. Although it's mine, I'm giving you that honor. And we're hereby, we know all across the world, people call it the Torah of Moses. But Moses got it word for word from the mouth of Yahuwah himself when he was on that mountain, right? And he wasn't necessarily, he went on that mountain, but he was transported into the heavenlies while he was on that mountain, right? A lot of people just think he was up there chilling. No, the top of Sinai is a portal. He went there to be transported to heaven, right? For you will be successful if you carefully obey the decrees and regulations that Yahuwah gave to Israel through Moses. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or lose heart. Excuse me. Let me sip of water, y'all. Sorry. Excuse me. I have worked hard to provide materials for building the temple of Yahuwah. Nearly 4,000 tons of gold, 40,000 tons of silver, and so much iron and bronze that it cannot be weighed. I have also gathered timber and stone for the walls, though you may need to add more. You have a large number of skilled stonemasons and carpenters and craftsmen of every kind. You have expert goldsmiths and silversmiths and workers of bronze and iron. Now begin the work, and may Yahuwah be with you. Then David ordered all the leaders of Israel to assist Solomon in this project. Yahuwah, your God, is with you, he declared. He has given you peace with the surrounding nations. He has handed them over to me, and they are now subject to Yahuwah and his people. Now, seek Yahuwah, your God, with all your heart and soul. Build the sanctuary of Yahuwah so that you can bring the ark of Yahuwah's covenant and the holy vessels of Yahuwah into the temple built to honor Yahuwah's name, right? Nobody else's name do we honor. Nobody else's name do we allow to pass through our lips. JC is not Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is not JC reincarnated. Yahuwah is Yahuwah alone. He always has been. He always will be. Yahuwah said there was no one with me there in the beginning. There will be no one after me. There is not another Savior but me. I, Yahuwah alone, am the Savior of my people, Israel. If there is another one, I know not one. Everybody else is an idol. And I'll save all them scriptures for y'all, and I'll pin them in the comment section, just in case you were taught not to read them. And those are words from Yahuwah's mouth himself. Okay. All right. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead over and pick up where we left off yesterday on Fossilized Customs. Hold on. Oh, Trina, good point. I know, right? They always get you starting John, right? Starting Matthew, start with the NT, right? Trina said, it's so funny when I think about it. The Bible is the only book I read the end first. No other book have I started in the middle or end only. I'm sorry. No other book have I started in the middle or end. Only the Bible, because that is what I was taught. Shaking my head. I'm telling you. And some people that teach you that, they're truly ignorant themselves, and they're just simply repedaling and re-pushing the garbage that they was peddled and pushed from the pulpit, right? So, okay, so we're on page 35, but we're gonna go back. Remember, I said I was gonna reread this small little paragraph, the name of the Creator, Yahuwah. I was going to reread it over. Okay, so just in case you didn't know, the Paleo Hebrew symbol for Yahuwah's name, it is, and Hebrew is read from right to left, right? Everything is backwards. I was about to end YouTube. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna put this mouse over here. Okay. So here, that's what Yahuwah's name, or the Tetragrammaton, looks like for Yahuwah's name. So in English, Latin, I say we use Latin letters for the Hebrew English words, right? Well, this is going to explain all of that. But in Hebrew, the words are read from right to left, or it will be back. It would seem like backwards to us, right? And the Hebrew letters, we call the name of the letters, but in every other language, you actually pronounce the sound, right? So we say A in English or Latin, but in Hebrew, we say Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. I mean, you get what I'm saying. So this is Yod, He, Wah, He, right? Or Yod, He, Ua, He. We're going to get into it. All right. The name of the Creator, Yahuwah. Now we're going to investigate the real name of the Creator. According to Psalm 118, the name is the rock that the builders rejected. The first to present his case seems right till another comes forward and questions him. Proverbs 18:7. The name of Yahuwah is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. Proverbs 18:10. And I just showed y'all the Sinai autograph for the covenant name, the name of Yahuwah. Okay, so if you have the book, let me just show you. If you have the book, you will see what I'm talking about. But just in case you don't, I'm going to just go through here and just kind of read through this chart real quick. And this. So just bear with me. Okay. There are 4 vowels according to Yusuf ben Mattiyahu, or Flavius Josephus. We know about that character, right? The Latin letters are the YHUH. So right here, this is the Latin letters, which is what we use in the English language. Okay, Latin letters. And right here, it tells you the value of what each letter represents. So if you ever heard about gematria in Hebrew, they say each letter represents a number. So the Y is equal to 10 in value, the H to 5, the U to 6, and the H, of course, 5. And then right here, this is actually telling you, okay, yeah, right here is actually giving you the actual Hebrew letters for it. But remember, the Hebrew letters are not, although they're letters when you write them in Paleo Hebrew, but when you say the name of the letters like Y, you're not saying Y, you're saying Yod, right? You're saying the sound of it. So it's Yod, Y is Yod, the H is He, and the U is Ua. It makes the U sound, not W, like they say, right? That's how people mispronounce it and say Yahweh. It's not Yahweh, the proper pronunciation. The U makes the U sound like a double O, like ooh, right? So the U is oo, or oo, right? And the H is right here, hey. And so here you got the, make sure you can see it. You have the ancient Paleo Hebrew symbol for the yod, hey, hey. And then over here in the modern, you have the modern Hebrew, which is a mix of like Yiddish, but it's not really, but that's what they use. They call it the modern Hebrew language. So if you see it in modern Hebrew, it'll look more like block style letters, but the ancient Paleo looks like this, and it's pretty cool to me. All right, so I hope it kind of makes some sense. Okay, Hebrew is read right to left. Direct Hebrew to English transliteration comparison. Okay, so the common, they're giving you the common form like Isaiah. Isaiah in English, the transliteration, if you say Isaiah in English, it would be Yasha Yahu. In Hebrew, it will look like this right under here. So you got Isaiah, Yasha Yahu, then you got it in Hebrew. And then you have Elisha. Remember, I told you there's not an E in the Hebrew language. So Elisha would be Elisha. And then that's how it would look here in Paleo Hebrew. And then you have Elishua. It would be Elishua. And then you have Elijah, which would be Aliyahu, right? And there's a couple people up here whose name is Aliyahu, right? We have one Aliyahu, chosen son, and we have Aliyahu, Sinai of the wilderness. But it's a male and a female, right? Okay. So don't get them mixed up if you see them in the chat box if they make a comment. Okay, so it's talking about the BYNV translation restores these names. So I actually have this translation of the Bible that they did, and it goes through and restores the names, and it puts it in Paleo Hebrew. Okay, so we'll sit down and we'll read this next paragraph. It says, Yahuwah and Yahusha share the first three letters. These symbols are the original Hebrew letters of the name Yahuwah and Yahusha. Hebrew is read from right to left, and the first three letters of both use the same letters, giving the sound Yahu, Y-A-H-U. Expressions like God, Lord, Almighty, Eternal, Adonai, Hashem, or Creator are not personal names. Everyone who defends the use of these expressions uses the excuse that we are speaking English, and these terms we are familiar with are translations. Most of these words are not originally English. The term God was never used to refer to the true Creator until Christianity went into the Norse areas in the 6th century CE. The original Hebrew pronouns commonly translated as God in our English are Al, which is A-L, Ali, A-L-I, Allah, A-L-A-H, or Allahim. The Hebrew pronoun Al, A-L, conveys the meaning of upward, lofty, strength, high one, awesome one. The root being spelled Aleph Lamed, or the root word is A-L. Remember, in Hebrew, they don't say A-L. They actually pronounce the sound of the letter, which is Aleph Lamed, right? This is describing a being of infinite power. The pagan deities never became angry or pleased because they simply aren't, right? Yahuwah said, there is no other mighty one. They don't exist. You got people perpetrating, right, and using demonic power. He said, there's no other mighty one but me. Everybody submits to me, right? Let me read that again. These pagan deities never become angry or pleased because they simply aren't there. These Hebrew terms express what or pronoun our Creator is, but not used as his personal name. Let me read that again. These Hebrew terms express what our Creator is, but not used as his personal name. He has a name, and only one name, Acts 4:12. Adjectives attached to his name may modify it, causing people to think he has more than one name. Remember how I said at the beginning as I was transitioning, you would hear me refer to Yahuwah as Yahusha, which I'm still talking about Yahuwah. I'm just changing the suffix on his name to tell you a different type of attribute that our Creator has, right? And the Shah or the Shua brings in the attribute of Yahuwah, that he is saving, that he is a deliverer, right? So when we refer to Yahuwah as a deliverer, we call him Yahusha. But that still confuses people because of how Christianity has brainwashed people. It makes them think that there's a second person that they call his son. Remember, Israel, we are his son, right? And Yahuwah is the only God, the only mighty one. So I was like, Father, this is getting, because people was asking me questions. I was like, okay, Father, how should I do it? He said, only use my name. He said, only use Yahuwah. So that's why I went to Yahuwah alone, because as you're transitioning out the church, until you understand a little bit more, until you study a little more, I'm sorry, Trina, you found out the page 36. I didn't see your comment. We're on page 36 if you got the book. It still confuses people until they realize that no matter what we call him, or we can say lofty one or great one, there's a Hebrew term that you can add to Yah and call him Yah, my deliverer, or Yah, the mighty one, or Yah, my healer. But we need milk right now, right? So the milk for you was just call Yahuwah by his name. He said, this is my name forever. Everybody shall know me by this name, Yahuwah, right? Yahuwah. Some people pronounce it Yahuwah or Yahuwah. It's the same thing. Yahuwah, one name, one God, forever, right? That's the name we know him by. If you want to get a little bit fancy, you know his attributes, you go ahead, Yah, Rapha, or you can add all that on, but we still know you're talking about one. But for the sake of teaching and conversation and understanding now, we're just going to use Yahuwah, right? But it's explaining this, right? Okay. Adjectives, I'm going to go back. These Hebrew terms express what our Creator is, but not used as his personal name. He has a name and only one name, Acts 4:12. Adjectives attached to his name may modify it, causing people to think he has more than one name. Look up Yahweh in any encyclopedia. Yahweh is one attempt to sound the name using English letters originating from 4 Paleo-Hebrew vowels: Yod, He, Ua, He, Yahuwah. Check your NIV or KJV preface and see that they admit to removing the name. I mean, y'all hear me talking about that. If you read the beginning of your Bible, it'll tell you it removed the name of the real name of the Creator, and it gave you general terms. But them general terms is actual terms of another God you're calling on, right? Yod, He, Ua, He, Yahuwah. Check your NIV or KJV preface and see that they admit removing the name. Paleo means ancient in Greek. The Hebrew word for ancient is atik, reminding us of antique. The letters are written from left to right in this original script. We call it Hebrew from one of Shem's descendants whose name was Eber, Genesis chapter 10. A few generations later, Abram was born, the son of Torah, one of Eber's descendants. When Abram's nephew Lot was carried off by invading armies, the text says, one who had escaped came and informed Abram the Hebrew, Genesis 14:13. Hebrew is called the Lashon Kodesh, or the set-apart tongue, right? The set-apart tongue. Is the name of the Creator lost? Encyclopedias tell us the proper personal name of the Most High began to be suppressed by the Yahudim Encyclopedias tell us the proper personal name of the Most High began to be suppressed by the Yahudim as they were scattered among the pagans for their failure to honor the Torah and let the land rest and release debts every 7 years. Remember how we learned yesterday? Yahuwah said, I'm going to scatter you. I'm sick of y'all, all of this. He said, and I'm going to let my name be lost to all of you. And none of you are going to call on my name because you're steady mixing my name with the names of guys, and I said don't do it. So all of you are going to forget my name, and we see how that's happened because we're just now waking up and turning back. He's now revealing to us what his true name is, right? Meaning he's giving favor to us. He's waking us up. We about to see the power come back. Hey. Okay, look. Yahuwah allowed them to be carried off to Babel for 70 years, beginning in 586 BCE. Pagans concealed the names of their deities, and so this custom infected the Yahudim during their years in captivity. The Babylonians taunted the Yahudim because they didn't hide the name of the one they served, right? We didn't hide the name of our Creator, right? We call out, even our people, morning Uncle JB, remember, even our people now, those of them that are changing their names and stuff, they're taking on the name of Yahuwah again, right? And Yahuwah said that his people would do that because we are called after his name. And it's about to explain that a little bit more, right? Daniel's, which is where they got the name Yahudim. Listen. Daniel's lifetime encompassed this captivity. The Babylonians knew they were called Yahudim, bearing the name of Yah, Y-A-H, their Elohim. To ridicule them, these pagans began to call them Yahoos, Y-A-H-O-O''S. Hearing the name blasphemed, treated commonly, and disrespected on the lips of pagans was so offensive, the name was avoided completely. Over time, it became an offense worthy of death by stoning for pronouncing the name aloud, except by a Cohen or a priest. This is why Paul was sent to arrest the first Nazarene, because this key of knowledge was being used by them openly. And what's the key of knowledge? Us speaking Yahuwah's name freely, because he's our mighty one. He said, my people are to only speak my name, right? Rebecca said on YouTube, we have tried to teach people this, but so many people refuse to stop using those other names. A lot of them know and still choose not to use it. I know, right? Look, it's really heartbreaking too to me. And it's just like, okay, I'm just a father. You deal with them, right? I'm not gonna put my mouth on your people, because I be thinking about what Yahuwah did with all the different prophets and stuff. He said, look, I can talk about my people, but don't you dare. I know they stiff-necked, hard-headed, and don't follow a thing. He said, but you bless them. Let me deal with them. So that's what I do now, Rebecca. When people just, well, JC lives, and they want to keep doing that, I'm like, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Bless them, open their eyes, and I'm going to go on about my business. Maybe somebody else can help enlighten them to what we're supposed to be doing and turn them back to your path of righteousness, right? But if they pass by my way, I'm going to be standing my post. Yep, this is the way. Walk ye in it. You'll find Yah on this path. Right here, people. This is the way. Walk ye in it, right? And we stand our post. I know, sis Rebecca. Yes, me too. Okay. Let me get back to reading. This is why Paul was sent to arrest the first Nazarene, because this key of knowledge was being used by them openly. And we know that that key of knowledge is using Yahuwah's proper name, Yahuwah, right? Like Yah. I was going to pronounce it, but I forgot the pronunciation. At Acts 9:21, Luke records that Paul was converted and teaching in the congregations of Damascus. Nazarene were saying, is this not he who in Jerusalem destroyed those who called on this name? Luke goes on to describe how they plotted to stone Paul, but he slipped away. Paul was beaten with rods and stoned for the name, but didn't die that way. 2 Corinthians 11:25. Stephen was stoned to death, Acts 7, because he uttered the name, causing the Sanhedrin to cover their ears, screaming, blasphemy! Then they stoned him to death. This is also why the Pharisees and the Sadducees picked up stones to try and kill Yahusha. Carefully read 3 John 1 and 7, John 5:43, John 17:6, John 17:26, and Acts 4 and 7, Acts 4 and 12, and Acts 4 and 17 for insight into the controversy over using the name. The followers emerging into the name and the elders placing hands on them to bless them certainly involve using the name. The priestly blessing involved placing the hands on the head and saying, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak unto Aaron and his sons, and say, This is how you bless the children of Yisrael or Israel. Say to them, Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show you his favor. Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Yisrael or Israel, and I myself will bless them. And we know that because we do that every day, right? We bless everybody as they're going out with the blessing that Yahuwah said to bless his people with, right? Not anything else, but what Yahuwah has said to do, right? We ain't doing nobody else's benediction or whatever you want to call it, but we're going to bless them how Yahuwah said to put his name upon his people. Numbers 6:22 through 27. At Sinai, okay, go ahead and grab it, Pootie. I know, I saw him bring it. At Sinai, Yahuwah wrote his personal name in this script, right? And it just shows it again. It says, no original Hebrew letter shaped Y for you. I'll show you. Just in case y'all don't have the book, right? So it says, note the Y that they use for you. The U, which they mispronounce normally, if the block modern letters, that would be a V, but it's not a V. Remember, the V sound, the V that they use, they actually made the U or the U sound. So that's why under here they put the U, Vav, Wa, right? So you'll hear Yahweh, Yahweh, and Yahuwah. But the proper pronunciation is the U, O-O, Uwa, right? Okay. Right to left, the letters are Yod, He, Ua, He. The four letters are often called the tetragrammaton, a Greek word meaning four letters. A letter chart for easy reference is on the back cover. Right? Okay, so if you get the book, you will see it. And that's really helpful as well. So just in case you don't have the book, or you're still waiting on your book, or you're not going to get the book, screenshot that so you'll have it. Save it in your pictures so you can refer to it. Okay. A letter chart for easy references on the back cover. Some of the attempted translations for these four letters have been Jehovah, Javeh, Yahweh. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Iaoue and Yahuwah. Yes, that's for Jeremiah, babe. Yahuwah, I've heard people call Yahuwah, 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 Iaue, I don't know how to pronounce that. Yahweh, another letters I don't know how to pronounce this, Ieue, and others. Lately on the internet, we see a new form, Ehiyah, Ehyeh, an attempt to express the name from Hebrew, Ahia, Asher, Ahia. And you will actually hear this if you see like the Hebrew Israelites. And I hate using that word together, Hebrew Israelites, because when you go Google that or YouTube that, you'll pull up what I call the hate brews, the ones standing on the corner preaching out of a bunch of hate and stuff, and they got some truth, but they teaching a lot of stuff wrong, and they teaching it in anger, right? And they condemning everybody to hell, except for the blood. But I mean, they so bad, they don't discriminate. The men only pretty much show favor to themselves, but they discriminate against everybody else, even against the daughters of Zion, right? They tell you it's okay to dishonor everybody, even the daughters of Zion. You can call them bees and hoes and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, how dare you? Like, so stay away from them. So skip past them, because all them Yahuwah needs to deliver them as well. They got stuck in the whole anger part when they woke up and realized that they were Hebrews, and maybe not all of them may not be Hebrews. Just because you skin folk don't mean you kinfolk. You may not really come from the blood born. Remember, the descendants of Jacob, they're black people, but not all black people are descendants of Jacob, right? So I got children who are descendants from me and my husband, and we're black, but not all black people you see out here are descendants from me and my husband, right? Only the descendants of James and Pam, right? Y'all get it? Okay. So, but yeah, you will hear them. You will hear the Hebrew Israelites. So those, I call them the alphabet campsite. UCIC or the different ones, GMS, all of them. They'll refer to Yahuwah as Ahia, Ashur, Ahia, right? which means I will be who I will be. That's not his name. That's an attribute, right? They're still calling him by attributes. They're still calling him by the attribute of I am. I encompass everything because everything comes from me, right? They're still not calling his name. His name is Yahuwah. He said, my name is Yahuwah forever. They're still calling him by attribute. Thank you, Shayla. Yes, that's the name of the book. Fossilized Customs by Lou White. And you will see if you look.
What is this?
It's a
mango.
Yes, it's a mango, baby. If you want to get it, I always put the link. As long as we'll be reading it, you will see the link in the description box, or pinned in the comment section on YouTube. On YouTube, it's actually pinned in the comment section and in the description box. But on Facebook, it's in the description above the video, right? You can just hit see more, and you will see everything there. So if you want to get it, I even put in the link for Amazon. But I looked yesterday, and they had a lot, but I don't know if they got some more in stock or they get some more. But they said they had one left in stock. So people is buying it up since I started. And not everybody tell me they get it, but apparently it's been flying out of Amazon like hotcakes. So, but when I checked yesterday, I'm like, what? They only got one left. So, but I also put the direct site to Lou White's website where you can actually order it from his website if you can't get it from Amazon, because a lot of people familiar with Amazon, we trust Amazon, we'll go ahead and get it from Amazon. I do that all the time. If I can't get it from Amazon, then I go directly to the person's site if Amazon is out of it. So both of them will be in there if you want to get it if you don't have it. Okay, let me hurry up, y'all, because we passed the time, but I'm going to finish reading this section about the name. Okay. Lately on the internet, we see a new form, Ahaya, an attempt to express, which is E-H-Y-E-H, an attempt to express the name from Hebrew, Ahaya, Ashur, Ahaya. I will be who I will be. There is no J or W in Hebrew. Untrained teachers are piling up a huge amount of disinformation. It's common to see new teachers who think they hear Yah in Hebrew words to mistakenly confuse the root words. The city is not Yerushalayim. The first two letters are Yod and Resh, or the Y and the R, Yod Resh, not Yod Hey. Another example is the word Marya. It's not Marya. Okay, so Marya is in another example of the word Marya, M-A-R-Y-A. It's not M-A-R-Y-A-H. Hova, you know how you hear people say Jehovah? A lot of people don't realize when they're referring to Yahuwah as Jehovah, you are calling him wicked, right? Yes, baby.
I've gotten one more.
Yes, the squirrels was coming to get them, Pootie. Listen, Hova, H-O-V-A-H, means wicked or ruin in Hebrew. So be careful if you calling people Hova, or y'all know some rappers out there call themselves Hova. He's telling you what he is. He's telling you he wicked, right? Look, Hova means wicked or ruin in Hebrew. This is not related to the name Yahuwah. Mixing root words can lead to confusion quickly. The root from which the name comes is Haya, H-A-Y-A-H, meaning to exist. A good encyclopedia will explain the era of Jehovah. The tetragram Yod-He-Uah-He, or Y-H-U-H, is changed to J-H-V-H, and the vowels of another word, Adonai, are stuffed into the spaces. This happens because Christian translators' ignorance of Hebrew failed to alert them that the vowel points placed beneath the name were to cue the reader to not pronounce it, but to say Adonai instead. In 2008, the Catholic Magisterium issued a bull, B-U-L-L. So if you've ever heard in the Catholic Church, the Pope issues a papal bull, B-U-L-L, or it's like a very important memo, a bull, right? In 2008, the Catholic Magisterium issued a bull that the name is never to be uttered in liturgical services. In the 8th century, vowel points were invented by a sect of Karaites called Masoretes. They worked for nearly 500 years to shape the Hebrew language with their invented Nikud, Niqqud markings. Nikud markings, or you got them little like apostrophes and the dots. That's what they're calling Nikud, so they can get you to pronounce it different ways. Sweet. Okay, Rebecca on her book. Sweet. Okay. They worked for nearly 500 years to shape the Hebrew language with their invented Nikud markings to make certain no one could ever utter the true name correctly. Yahu became Yeho. Yahu, Y-A-H-U, became Yeho, Y-E-H-O. The hybrid word Jehovah was invented by Petrus Galenius. You can easily prove the letter J didn't exist on the planet until about 1520 CE. This letter is less than 500 years old. The Hebrew letter Yod, or Y, was brought into Greek with the letter iota, I-O-T-A, becoming our letter I, because Greek had no letter Yod, or they had no letter Y, right? Remember, the other languages, they don't say the names of the letters, they actually say the sound of the letters. The custom developed that put a trail on the letter I when it began a sentence or was used as the first letter of a proper name. There is no J or V in Hebrew. The V has a W sound in European languages. The letter UA, U-A-U, or, okay, let me just finish reading. The letter UA, U-A-U, in Hebrew is commonly the sound of U, O-O, as you hear in Hallelujah. It has the same sound in Netanyahu, like the Prime Minister Netanyahu, his name. Even the new letter W is named W. So the letter W, like we see in English, the W, he said the W is named W. So although it's two V's that they put together, it's actually a double U, which makes the U or the UU sound, giving us the symbol of the European double V, double U, right? So it looks like a double V. They never fixed it, y'all, so stick with me. The letter we know as W was invented by typesetters in the early 15th century. They set the type by hand to save space, and to save space, a clever typesetter combined two of the letter V's into one letter, W. The shape V was the Latin shape for our modern letter U. After the Babylonian captivity, Hebrew words were written in the foreign Aramaic letters. This script is now mistakenly called modern Hebrew. The first translation into Greek by the Sanhedrin during the 2nd century BCE is called the Septuagint, and in its original, the name was preserved in authentic Hebrew. After the captivity of Babel, the square script of Aramaic was adopted. In the following photo, the Aramaic dominates, but the bottom line shows the Hebrew form of the name. And I'll show you. So when you see this, or what they call modern Hebrew, is actually Aramaic. And right here, if you look closely, all of this is Aramaic or modern Hebrew, except for Yahuwah's name, which you can spot the Yod He Ua He, which is an actually original authentic Hebrew or Paleo Hebrew right there. See how it stands out from the rest? This is modern Hebrew, which is also actually Aramaic, but Yahuwah's name is an actual authentic Hebrew, which is Paleo right there, and it can be spotted. The simplest way to write his name in our Latin letters, Yahuwah, 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 Y-A-H-U-A-H or Y-A-H-O-O-A-H for a proper pronunciation, right? Clement of Alexandria wrote that it can be transliterated in the Greek vowels I-A, but the original Hebrew is best. We are using the English language here, but the English language doesn't use an English alphabet. You are reading this in the Latin alphabet, but not the Latin language, which is crazy. They got everything chopped and screwed and mixed up, y'all. Two Bible to try that replaces the name of people, place, and things in the original Hebrew text is Sefer Bible, and his word Hebrew Israelite scripture, plus they include the books that were removed. You're right. I have a Sefer. I don't have a his word, but I have the scriptures Bible, which also replaces the name. That's good. Yep. We mentioned that a few times too. We actually, the first time reading, when we started reading through this the first time together, back in 2018, we actually used the Sefer Bible. Okay. If we write the word, and we almost done, y'all. We almost done with this. Only a few more sentences. If we write the words Baruch haba Bashem Yahuwah, we're writing in the Hebrew language, but using the Latin alphabet to do so. This is called a transliteration or transliteration. Using the letters of any language to properly sound a word of another language can be a problem if there is no way to duplicate a sound, as we find Greek lacks certain sounds. The letter W has only existed since the 13th century and is not a Hebrew letter. We write our numbers in Aramaic numerals. The original Hebrew language. Thank you, baby. The original Hebrew language and Aleph Beth served both as letters and numerals. Because the name was not to be blasphemed by improper use, it became a custom to never use it, right? And that by never using Yahuwah's name, we are still breaking. What is that? I think it's I think it's a third command, where Yahuwah says, don't take his name in vain. But a proper translation of don't take his name in vain is don't cause his name to go to ruin. Meaning, by not speaking his name, you're causing his name to go to ruin. Like it's in ruins. Nobody knows it. You've ruined his name. Nobody knows it. What does it look like? What does it sound like? By not speaking it at all causes it to go to ruin. That's why Yahuwah said, you always speak my name. Let it be sounded. Teach your children. Teach them, right? But because all the other nations, the pagan worshiping nations, they said their pagan gods or their deities, their names were too holy to pronounce. They began to ridicule Israel because Yahuwah always carried the name of their creator, their mighty one, on their lips, right? And when they started ridiculing them and calling them Yahoos, they decided, you know what, we just going to stop speaking the name, because it's better that we don't speak it than to hear them blaspheme the name. But Yahuwah say, don't do that. When you call on my name, I will come help you. But they decided to just put his name away, right? And it just goes all into all the other rigmarole we done got caught up into, because we done forgot his name and we don't know who to call on. And we calling on pagan deities, right? Because the name was not to be blasphemed by improper use, it became a custom to never use it. The policy was not to destroy it in any way, and that's why they buried the worn out scrolls in jars at the Dead Sea after making copies of them at Qumran, and yet they did destroy it by not speaking it, and this violates the third commandment. The letter W has only existed since the 13th century, and it is not a Hebrew letter. Okay, so that's where we'll stop today, y'all, because it's going into this next section about who is the Lord, right? Lord. And that's going to get pretty good, and it'll awaken you to a few things just in case you didn't know. All right, beautiful people, so my mark. All right, y'all. Today we read 1 Chronicles chapter 20, 21, and 22. And Fossilized Customs, we read pages 35 through 39. It is Thursday, beautiful people. May the 6th, 2021, day 146 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 815. And that is without the Sabbath days or the Sabbath feast days added into the count. Why? because we rest. Like Yahuwah has commanded us to do. You got 6 days for work and take one and rest. Rest on the 7th day. Everybody gonna be resting. Heaven and earth, and we're gonna all chop it up together, right? We rest on that day, get some, let the body restore itself, speak to the Most Holy. You should be speaking to him on a daily basis, but on that day, talk to him a little bit more and give him praise and thanks for all good things he has blessed you with, through all the resources he has brought across your path, my beautiful people. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and pull up the blessing, which we find in Numbers chapter 6, and we read it today because we talked about it in the reading today. Okay, Lou White, knowing what it is. The blessing is found in Deuteronomy, y'all. I'm sorry, no. The blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. I'm thinking about the Shema, trying to get y'all attention here, Israel. The blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. Yes, you can get the book on Kindle Unlimited too. I actually saw that yesterday. Thank you for mentioning that, Dana. So for those that may not have the $30 or so to purchase the hardback copy, but if you have Amazon Kindle or Kindle, you can get the digital version of the book. And I forget how much. I think it was like $10. Dana, how much was it on Kindle? $10, $12. But anyway, it's half or probably more than half off of the actual printed copy of the book. So you can go there and get either one. Shucks, get both. I like how, although I didn't get the digital copy of this, I probably will get it because sometimes if I'm out $9, okay, she said she thinks it's $9. Sometimes I don't always like carrying my manual books around with me because I read a lot. So a lot of times when I get printed versions, I'll also get the digital versions because as long as I got my cell phone, I got my library with me too. Blessed be the Most Holy for technology, where I can have all my books in the palm of my hand. Let's go to the blessing. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace, his shalom, right? And they shall put my name. Whose name? Not JC name, nobody else's name, not the name of the Holy Spirit. Yahuwah. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Although, because it's a couple different teachings. The spirit of Yah, the set apart or the Kodesh spirit of Yah, is Yahuwah's spirit in us. It's not like a separate entity like we think about it in the church. It's not this separate entity. It's always Yahuwah alone. Right? Okay, did I? Oh, my stream cut off. Oh man, they cut me off. Or did I didn't touch it. Y'all, my YouTube cut off. Okay, let me check and see what happened over here. It is. It says stream finished. Like, girl, you doing too much. Bye. They cut me off, y'all. I didn't hit a button. All right, so with that being said, y'all, let me go ahead and get out of here and see what just happened over here while they cut me off. All right, I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.